Rockstar Real Estate Agents. My name is Tiffany Fortenberry and I'm one of the owners at Prestige Title of Brevard. We're proud to be the sponsor of the Rockstar Real Estate Series for the second year in a row. As a family-owned and operated business, we are dedicated to providing service you can trust through every aspect of your transaction. We thank you for your business over the last 16 years and we look forward to continuing to serve our Brevard County Realtors.
So, firstly, if you are going to do any type of lead generation, or if you have a database, or if you do what I tell you about exporting your leads and putting them into your phone, any of that stuff, if you are not going to call your leads, which, by the way, nobody does, right, then you need to hire someone to do that for you. Like I said, I prefer a license. Julie and I go back 2006, right, 2006, 18 years now. Crazy. And she was an assistant for one of our agents in our office. And I was really frustrated because I'm sitting here spending $10,000 a month generating leads for my agents. And what were they not doing? Yeah, funny how that works. So nobody was calling their leads. I'm getting frustrated. And we were still doing well. We were closing about 2% because I had pretty good systems in place, maybe even closer to 3%. And so Julie's agent she worked for was leaving or something like that, I forget. And I called Julie. I said, Julie, come on. I like you. You're almost as cool as I am. And I said, I'm looking to do this thing and build this department that no one's ever done in real estate before, because we were the first people doing this. And I said, I want someone to call our leads and work our leads. Then we'll give them to the agents, and then we can find out if the agents make a sale. Then I'll give you a little piece of the action. She's like, I'm game. So we literally spent the next several years developing the processes that we developed to become the #1 lead conversion company in the country. No one to date has ever done anything close to our lead conversion. We were converting, like I said earlier, 6% from raw registration leads. The typical realtor, the typical close rate is 0.75%. The good ones are doing 2%, and we were doing 6%. Is it a little more challenging these days? Yeah, because your leads now go up to about 7,000 people, right? But back then, we could kind of control the market. So anyways, over the years, we kept building it and becoming stronger and stronger, created all the systems that Julie teaches now and does now and follows. And then we opened an ISA company together. And then when we made the move to EXP, I opened the ISA department for EXP. And they wanted me to continue doing that. I said, there's no way in hell I'm going to keep doing this unless you let me hire Julie. And now Julie runs, actually, she's the biggest attractor for EXP with over 300 agents a month joining from her services. Right? Pretty cool, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyways, Julie Inman.
Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Pat. Definitely really happy to be here today. Am I okay here? Okay, all right. So I did bring notes to keep me on track because Mitch used to have me do trainings on this kind of thing, and those would last 3 hours. So we're going to stay a fraction of that time, but I did bring some notes to stay on track. I think the main thing that we want to talk about, obviously, is how an ISA can help you increase your lead conversion. You want to swap me out? Okay. Gotcha. All right, so how an ISA can help you increase your lead conversion. You guys, I think this can be helpful whether you're a team and thinking about hiring an ISA, if you're thinking about becoming an ISA, or if you really just want to work your own database, right? Even some of our sponsors, right? We all have databases. So hopefully my goal today is that you just walk away with a little tidbit, something that can help you grow your business. We've spent a lot of time, as Mitch said, really honing this in. We made mistakes. We learned from them. We pivoted. We worked with a lot of amazing agents. And one of the best things that I enjoyed about being an ISA was watching the agents on my team grow their business. Ones that may have struggled because their expertise lies somewhere else. They don't want to work a database. I have a job because they don't want to pick up the phone and scrub their leads. They don't want to have to nurture their leads. So as an ISA, I got a great job. I had a 2-year-old at the time, and I did not want to be out there showing homes. So that was really what started my journey. When Mitch asked me about doing this job, because nobody had done it before, we weren't really sure. And I remember saying, you know what, I'll try it. Let's give it 30 days. 18 years later, we're still working together in some capacity. But I learned a lot from being an ISA and then also becoming an ISA manager. Mitch is an incredible idea man. And I'm sure the people that know that about him. He calls me, I'm his implementer, right? So when he comes up with an idea, he's like, figure out how to implement it. And to have a successful ISA, whether it's an ISA team or an individual ISA, you have to have that. You have to have systems in place. You have to have processes in place for them to be successful. So I'm going to review a few of those things with you today. I think this is a really fitting time to have this discussion because we're in November and December, and I don't think this has changed much, but a lot of agents take time off in November and December. And the agents that really, keep the, pedal down during these 2 months have a really, really strong January and February. Otherwise, the cycle is it takes until March or April to really get those closings coming in. So if you're thinking about it, now might be the time to start moving forward, in that direction at the end of the year when other things might slow down, get you up to a really strong year. Plus, if you have a database, you've paid for the leads, right? You've paid for them. Why not maximize the return on your investment, right? So that's what we're gonna focus on. And in doing so, it's really about delegating, right? We want to delegate the duties of scrubbing the database, nurturing the database, putting people in your car to someone else so that you guys can focus on what you do best, right? And that's getting the closing, right? Okay. So I think one of the hardest things that a lot of brokers and team leaders deal with is how to hire an ISA, how to hire the right ISA. I can't tell you how many personality tests I've taken through the years because they wanted to try to duplicate what we've done. And it's really hard to do that because obviously personality tests, you can answer them based on professional answers or personal, and sometimes those get crossed over. There's two things that I found work best when hiring an ISA. You've got to find somebody with a good work ethic. I mean, that's number one, because they're going to make phone calls from the time they start working to the time they're done. There's no shortage of work. They're never going to run out of lists. They're always going to have something to do. They're not waiting for people to call. They're not waiting for people to go on the website. They're going in there and figuring out who needs to be called. So work ethic has to be number one. But number two, and just as important, you have to find someone who cares. And the reason for that is this. I'm going to give you an example of someone who doesn't care and someone that does care and how we pay the price for that. You get an ISA and they talk to someone on the phone and they're saying, you know what, I'm not looking to buy right now, I'm just looking. Thanks for calling. The ISA that doesn't care is saying, oh, thanks for letting us know, I'll make a note of it, let us know if you need anything in the future. Guess what, you've got a dead lead. The one that cares is saying, great, thanks for letting me know. We help a lot of people just like you, and their time frame isn't right now. We're happy to continue to send you those listing updates so you can watch the market between now and the time you're ready. Looking at the listings is fine. You're going to learn a lot about our market here just by doing that. And then down the road, if you need anything, let us know. What you did there is and then most of the time they're going to be super excited about that because what it does is it takes the pressure off. They're judging you as an agent or the ISA when you make that first contact. Are you going to pressure me, right? What you did is you just got rid of all that pressure. You're okay with them not being ready to buy right now. And here's the thing, they might be ready to buy right now or in 3 months, right? Remember, our short term is their long term. They think 3 months is a long time. 6 months is forever. It's not, right? That's short term. That is somebody that you should be talking with now, right? And we should be getting them ready. But for them, they think, I'm not going to be buying for a long time. But then when you find out what that time frame is, you realize it's short term. But when when an ISA is talking to someone on the phone, they can literally hear the wall come down. It's almost like they release this breath. Oh, you're like, good, that's great. Now I know that this person's here to help me, not pressure me. And that's what makes a good ISA. Somebody that's going to take someone that says, no, I don't need your help, and turn that into a client for you or a potential client. Because once they say, well, that would be great, then the ISA can have the conversation about what type of listings would they like to see, and then they can get into the time frame, which I'm going to get to in more detail in a little bit. But I really wanted to point that out. You get someone that cares, you're going to have a great database. You're going to have a lot of what we call calendar leads that have a time frame, because those are the ones that are going to end up being in your car, right? Those are the ones that you're going to show those properties to, and hopefully, close the deal. I'm primarily talking about buyers, but I am going to talk about sellers as well. So those are the biggest things with regard to hiring. If you know someone, that's a plus. It can be a plus. Okay, it can be a plus because you know their work ethic, right? If they have successful remote experience, that can be a plus because you may or may not have an office. But if you don't have an office, not everybody's good with remote work. They think they will be, but do you want to take that chance? I don't know. I don't like turnover. I do not like turnover. I want to train someone, and the longer I can have them on my team, I can move them up the skill level, right? And it's the same thing. So if I have a choice between somebody who's never worked remote and someone who's worked remote successfully, and this is a remote position, I'm going with that person that's had successful remote experience before. Same thing goes with, have they ever made outbound calls before? Same thing there, you guys. People think they want to make those outbound calls. They think they'll be good at it. They think they'll like it. But boy, it's different when you actually have to do it. And again, there's another caveat to that. Are they going to be an independent contractor or are they going to be a W-2 employee, right? So either way, you want to find somebody that has experience. They've been an ISA before, or maybe not an ISA, but they've had to make those outbound calls, and they love it. That's what they want to do. That's the type of job they're looking for. You can take a chance on someone, and you might get lucky. You very well might. I've been lucky before, but I've also not been lucky before. So now, when I'm looking to hire, I have minimum criteria, or I'm not going to consider that person. I'm going to wait. It's about waiting to find the right person. I think that's really, really important when it comes to an ISA because you're trusting them with the leads that you paid for, right? You're trusting them to create your calendar leads, to feed you those customers when they're ready and not waste your money, right? So you want someone that knows what the job is because, you guys, it's not easy. Being an ISA is not an easy job because you are keeping that level of positivity up and you are on the phones all day long. And typically a good setup for an ISA is, in an 8-hour day, they're going to call 2 hours, they're going to take a short break, 10, 15-minute break. They're going to call 2 hours, they're going to do their lunch. They're going to call 2 hours, they're going to take a little break. They're going to call 2 hours, and they're going to be done for the day. So to get those little breaks in there, but you're literally calling for 8 hours a day. And they don't do a lot of other things other than calling, updating the system, right? There's a little bit of admin that goes with that. So those are my tips for trying to find that right person. Compensation is key, right, in hiring the right ISA and what you're going to get out of them. So base plus commission, base always, right? You want a licensed ISA. If you're going to go the route of an unlicensed, then you're going to have to come up with a bonus program based on benchmarks. But I'm always going to recommend finding somebody licensed for the reason that Mitch mentioned, right? They can have more conversations than they can have more in-depth conversations. And remember, they're the first impression, right? So we always brand when we make that first contact. Hi, this is Julie with the Melissa Goldman real estate team, right? And branding the agent. And then I'm always, before I get off the phone with them again, I'm always mentioning, Melissa Goldman is going to, send you that information. She's going to send you those listing updates. At the end of the call, I'm mentioning her again. But we kind of elevate that. I don't care if it's a brand new agent. I'm on their real estate team, right? So it brings them up to kind of a level of success. And it's something that the agents aren't really comfortable doing themselves, talking themselves up to on that first initial call. It can be tough for agents. Some of our agents took rejection very, very personally. And I'm like, no. It's like cleaning out your drawers, right? You got a bunch of stuff in your drawers. You got to clean out the bad ones to find the good ones. So to me, it was just like panning for gold, looking for the good ones. And then really making sure that the agents are aware of those good ones. So so I think that, it's something to think about. Here, one second. Compensation has to be a base plus commission, and the reason for that is this. You pay somebody hourly, they're going to do an hourly job. That's it, right? They don't have that incentive. The example I gave you, somebody that cares and somebody that doesn't care, that is also tied into compensation. Not solely, because it is a personality thing, right? It's somebody's work ethic. You know, how good a job are they going to do? They want to be proud of what they do. But it ties into compensation as well. If I know that if I get that person in your car, some of the agents on my team, I knew if I got a client in Joanne's car, she was going to get a closing. And I was going to get a check, right? I know that because of the all the ones I've given her in the past. Like, I know which agents are going to convert these leads. And as a team leader, you have to think about that. Mitch talked about how we would get together and we'd meet and talk about how the agents are doing with these leads. You know, we give Joanne, we put 10 people in her car. She comes back with 6 closings. That's amazing, right? The other 4, that doesn't mean they're not buying. It means they didn't buy that time. An interesting stat you guys might want to, you might be interested in knowing is for calendared leads that told you a time frame that they're going to buy or come to the area, right? Because Brevard County, we get people that come to the area. 50% of them will come when they say they're going to come. The other 50% do not. Some agents look at that, well, half the people don't come anyway. Oh my God, half the people do come, right? Half the people are coming, and they're going to get in your car. The other 50%, it doesn't mean that they're not coming. They're just not coming right then. They had to delay it. Could have been work, could have been family, kids, anything. You keep in touch with them, and you re-calendar them. So it's just a stat that I really like to let everybody know, and why calendaring leads is so important. I'm going to get into that in a little bit more detail. But the ISA that cares and that's compensated well is going to calendar leads for you, because they know if they get them in your car, that's how they're going to double their income. And ISA should be able to double their income. Starting, I think Mitch mentioned like $30K as a base and another $30K in commission. That's a little low these days. But, if you get a new ISA, you might be able to, that might work. You get somebody that's really experienced that can just dive in and just take care of your database with very little training. It's probably going to cost you more than that because they're good. They're really good at what they do, and it's going to pay off. And you guys just have to figure out what's the number. How many sales will it take you to pay for an ISA, right? And then determine what you think the lead conversion increase. I mean, we went from 2 to 6, so we increased it threefold. But if you just say you're going to double it, you can figure out those numbers, and kind of go from there. You might be able to, if you're not a team leader and you want an ISA, you might look at sharing one with another agent. Maybe do a 50-50 kind of thing. So there's a lot of things like that you can think about. But somebody local is, I think, really, really important as well, because they know the area. That the licensed agent, I can't tell you how many first conversations went so well because I was a licensed agent. I made an extremely good impression, and then I basically put the agent on deck and told them why they're going to be great, right? And you get that combination. And I know internet leads are a lot harder these days, but these are raw internet leads, raw registrations, right? If you have property inquiries, that's a whole nother game, right? Those are great leads. But compensation, just wanted to give you guys an idea of that. It really does need to have an incentive program, and it should be based on closings, and I think a 5% is a really good benchmark for what you're going to give them on every sale that they touched. Okay. Okay, so duties. Here's where it gets tricky. Some agents and team leaders that want to hire an ISA don't really know how to train them. Right? They don't know because they don't do it themselves, because their expertise lies elsewhere. So that can be a little tricky. If you find someone that's experienced, great. If not, maybe you get a consultant. Maybe you take some time and have somebody look at your database, analyze your database. We did this at the ISA company for brokerages all over the U.S. and Canada. We took a look at their process. We would scrub their leads, but we'd also give them recommendations just as a bonus, value added, because we're good at it. We can get in there. It's kind of like you guys could do the same thing for new agents, right? You can tell them what they're doing wrong and what they could do better, right? So it's the same thing here. You might want to think about, doing that if you're the one that has to train them, because you have to set them up for success, right? And the reason that we're so successful with what we do at EXP is we have clear expectations. We have set up systems. We have systems in place to ensure their success, and they're compensated accordingly. So those are the three building blocks to increasing your lead conversions with an ISA. You've got to have those expectations. You've got to have a system in place, and you have to compensate accordingly. And it can be as simple as having your database organized, right, and giving that ISA direction. You don't have to know everything to start. You don't. The more you know, the better, but you can start with just a database. Most CRM systems are very similar in that you guys can customize groups, tags, statuses, depending on what it is, right? We've worked with a lot of CRM systems through the years. Mitch built his own. That was my first experience with a CRM system. Call anyone. He built it, and the best thing about that was we had a direct line, love this, to the programmers. We wanted something. We called them up, said, hey, we want this. Guess what? They added it. Mitch paid the bill. So, I mean, I'm in heaven as an ISA because I just wanted things to be efficient. The more efficient I could be, oh my gosh, the more, here come the checks, right? So, and that's what happened. And then with the ISA company, we got something very similar. It was a company in Canada. They had their own CRM system, and we had them customize it so that we could be efficient. So a lot of the CRM systems aren't super efficient. They are, but when you're in there all the time and you're digging in that database, you want some of those bells and whistles. And you ask for them and you get them. That's where I really learned a lot. And the biggest thing I think I took away from that is pretty much every CRM system, even without all those bells and whistles, you guys can organize your database. And the biggest benefit to doing that is you have a large database. Mitch mentioned if you have 2,000 leads in your database, the agent kind of gets frozen. The ISA, oh my God, the ISA is looking at this, where do I start? You have to organize it, so you categorize it. And it could be like follow-up boss things, I don't know, it might be tags, we've got statuses, we've got groups, whatever it is, and you have to pick the one that you can customize. Don't pick hot, warm, cold, because that changes, right? I mean, it's basic, but it's eventually going to change. You want to be able to pick from a list. And it could be as simple as this. Where are they at in the buying and selling journey, right? Because you want to pull everybody up that's getting ready to look at properties next month, so you can check in with them. Or everybody that's looking to sell their home in the next 3 months. Whatever. You want to be able to do search filters, boom, there's the call list. And if you organize the database with your groups and statuses and tags, you'll be able to do that. And I always just give really basic examples because you can let drip emails work the ones that you're not going to focus on, right? So some of them are going to register without a phone number or the wrong number or a bad number. I think that phone number, email, and name should be required on every registration. I would not want to have a registration that doesn't have that. There's no phone number, I can't pick up the phone. I can't call them, I can't text them, right? There's no email. I mean, most CRM systems, that's how they're differentiating leads, right? So they have to be required. So, but they might give you a wrong number. Fine. Throw a wrong number tag, no number, bad number tag on them, and you're done. Let the drips do the work, right? You've talked to them or you haven't. I think it's really important, especially for new leads, that you tag them by call attempt. So you've got these new leads coming in, and most agents either don't call them at all, or they call them once, maybe twice if they're really, really good, because they're busy. You know you guys are busy, and you don't really like doing it. Most of the agents have told me they don't really like scrubbing leads. An ISA is going to call those new leads 6 times. And by doing that, they're going to reach the majority of those leads. So if you call them once, you might get lucky. You're going to, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3, right? But if you call them up to 6 times, you're going to reach, we are in the 90s, you guys. We are the majority of people that register on the website we're having a conversation with. That's huge. That's what gets you from 1 to 2% up to 5, 6%, because you're having those conversations. So I think it's really important to have 6 tags. Call attempt 1, call attempt 2, call attempt 3, all the way up to 6. How else is your ISA going to know? So what they do is they pull those and they know which ones to call and in what order. So that's just something very, very basic, but that's what's going to increase your contact rate. You increase your contact rate, then you're going to increase your calendar rate and the people in your car and the contacts. Everything's a numbers game. It starts with phone call, right? It starts with the phone call. I can't tell you how many people that I talk to as an ISA, and my ISAs tell me the same thing. I registered on multiple sites. You're the only one that called me. Thank you. Oh my God, right? I loved hearing that, and we heard it a lot. So the phone call, you got to know your audience, especially like in Brevard County. So we get a lot of people, and I don't know if it's changed, but when I was doing it, over a certain age, right, they like the phone call. If you're dealing with younger buyers, they might like the texting. And that's not to say there aren't exceptions, there are, but as a rule of thumb, they like the phone call. And the reason for that is they're going to pick you based on the relationship that you build with them. Starts with the ISA, right? They're going to start building a relationship with you. You can automate a lot of things, and boy, I like to automate. I do. Make it efficient, automate it. But you can't automate that. You can't automate the relationship, right? That's when you're getting on the phone and you're finding out, why they're moving down. That they're coming to be closer to their grandkids or whatever, and then you come up with that common ground and you have that just normal human conversation. You can't do that if you're automating and you're not picking up the phone. So your ISA is instrumental in that, and then obviously there has to be that handoff. So the ISA is going to be able to work with you on how you guys want to hand those off, but it's typically going to be when an action item is needed. One of the biggest pitfalls for agents and team leaders and brokerages with their ISA, they treat them as a personal assistant. That's the biggest mistake. They should not be doing your admin work. And it's an easy temptation. You're out on the road, you have an ISA, you would like something done so that you don't have to do it later. You call them up and you have them do it. But all that time that they're spending, and it becomes a habit. And all the time that they're doing your admin work, they're not calling your leads. They'll never be able to stay on top of your leads because a good ISA is going to call your new leads. They're going to contact the majority of your new leads. They're going to nurture your entire database. They're going to set calendared leads. These are leads with time frame. They're going to roundabout go back in contact with those calendared leads. There's never a shortage of people to call. I don't care what the size of your database is. This is where people, I remember when we picked up our second ISA, she came to me and she says, I'm out of leads. I'd called all my leads and I chuckled. I'm like, oh, no. And then I showed her, obviously she didn't know, but you're never going to run out of leads to call, right? Because your calendared leads are the ones that are going to get in your car, and your active leads, the people that don't have a time frame initially, when you check in with them once a month, they're going to feed your calendar leads. So it's literally just moving through. You haven't contacted them, you've contacted them, they don't have a time frame, they have a time frame, you're checking in with them before the time frame. Half of them are going to change the time frame, the other half are getting in the car, right? They're going to view homes. And then the other half you're going to reschedule. And it's just that repetitive process, and that's what feeds your business, right? So your categories, your groups should be like that. So it could be active or no time frame for the ones that need nurtured. Calendared leads. This is one of the biggest tips that helped us. Don't just call calendared. Most of the time you can have unlimited groups, tags, hashtags, whatever it is to organize your database, and it's basically however you can filter them. But you need to call it calendared January, calendared February, calendared March. This is a hill I'll die on. Calendared spring. And the reason for that is because you need to know that in January, you want to call the people whose time frame is in March or spring, right? Hey, and you're going to pick up the phone. The ISA is going to pick up the phone, or if you're an agent just wanting to work your database a little better, hey, last time we spoke, you mentioned that you're going to be coming to the area, if they're out of the area, or you're going to be viewing homes this spring. I just want to, check in, see if you're still planning on doing so. Yes, we're coming in April, right? They may or may not know the dates. If they do, great. I'm coming April 15th to the 21st. Sometimes it goes from the season to the month, and then you have to check in again to get the exact dates. But that's how calendaring works. Sometimes they just know they're coming in the summer, but they don't know yet when. So you have to call them before summer, right? Same thing with the month. They're coming in January, you got to be checking in a couple months earlier, make sure they're still coming, and then find out whatever it is you need to find out. If they want to view homes this time, or if they're out of the area. If they're in the area, when they view homes, are they just trying to get a feel for what they can get for their money? Or if they find the right home, do they want to be prepared? And then you can, go further into those conversations. But calendaring, I think that's one of the biggest tips that I give people, because also in February, whoever's left in January, you didn't reach again because they haven't been recalendared to a new time frame. So the ISA knows, hey, that's a short list. I need to continue to try to reach to recalendar them. Because remember, it's typically about 20%. So once that time frame passed, 50% showed, 30% rescheduled, the other 20% you got to kind of chase down to get. but you'll eventually get them, or they've changed their mind, right? So that's really what I wanted to talk about as far as organizing the database. You have to do it in a way that the ISA is set up for success, and so that they can feed you clients that are ready. One of the, besides the no admin work, the other thing that's kind of a pitfall is with the saving and sending searches. Because Mitch touched on emails, right? You don't want to send too many because they're going to unsubscribe. You don't want to send too few because you need to be in front of them at the time they're ready. That's how we converted. We were in front of thousands and thousands of leads, so we're going to be in front of people at the time they're ready. That's why we increased our lead conversion. So the DRITs, for active leads that don't have a time frame, it's really important that you're sending them listing updates. It is, because the fun part is looking at homes, and you want to have them tailored to what they searched for initially, right? And whether that's 4-bedroom pool homes, in Melbourne Beach, and maybe they want it under 500,000, and the ISA knows that's not going to happen, right? Because I'm licensed, I know that. So then I can ask the agent to save and send a search. Go ahead and do that, just in case something pops up. But you need to do maybe 3-bedroom pool homes, right? Maybe one of them has a den or an office, and that could work, right? So the fact that your ISA kind of knows what the values are, they know what action items to send you. If you're going to have your ISA save and send searches, it's a choice. You're going to have about 2 hours less calling every day, minimum, because they're going to talk to about 30 people in a day. They're going to make contact, make 75 to 100 calls. That depends. The more people you talk to, the fewer calls you make, right? The fewer people you contact in a day, the more calls you're going to make. So there's that inverse relationship. But if you have them saving and sending searches for you, then they're making fewer calls, quite frankly. And also, they don't know. You might know a property that's perfect for them. Maybe it's off market. Maybe it's upcoming. They'll have market knowledge, but they don't know what you know. So I think it's really important for the agents to save and send the searches. And then they can also type a quick personal message. So it's kind of, it gives that, the client or the potential client that double touch from the ISA and from the agent. It's a personal choice. We recommend agents save and send the searches, right? Your ISA is going to say, hey, I spoke with this person. Here's the action item, right? You need to save and send the search, or whatever it is. They have a question. They want you to recommend people for financing, or whatever it is. They're going to send you this action items. You have to do them. And there's probably going to be, depending on your database, a pretty good number of those in a day because your ISA is good. They're going to contact them, and they've let them know that we can do something for you. They've accepted that, and now they've asked something to be done. You guys have to do that in a timely manner. That's what's going to increase, that lead conversion. So, check the time. Okay. So, one last thing about saving and sending searches. When you save a search, you should send the full list initially. I don't know how many times I could tell you that agents would save the search in their MLS and just know that they're going to get those listing updates when new ones become available, because it's easy, right? It's quick and it's easy. But if you don't send them that initial list, maybe there's 30 homes that match the criteria, maybe there's 2. But if you don't send it initially, guess what? It could be a month before they get that first listing update if it's a tight search. Right? You want to be in front of them now to solidify the relationship between you and your ISA and them, but also they have 0 chance of seeing something they want to view if you don't send them that list. So I like to just remind everybody it's really, really important to do that. And one last note on saving searches for sellers, you definitely want to do that. You want to set them up for active listings in their neighborhood so they can see what their competition is, see what things are being listed for, and you want to set them up for solds because they're curious. And you're giving them information that, quicker, right? You're going to give them that information first. They're going to know before most other people what that house sold for on their street. There's value to that, right? So you want to make sure that you've got those 2 searches set up. They're not going to get a lot because it's tailored to a particular subdivision or however you tailor it. But when they get it, they're going to appreciate that you sent it, right? And it's all about giving them before you ask for something, right? So when an ISA talks to them, we're happy to send you, listing updates that, match, your criteria so you can see all the 4-bedroom pool homes in Melbourne Beach. I want to see that as a customer. So I'm excited. And then the ISA can talk about other things. Well, you're looking in Melbourne Beach. Are you interested in Cocoa Beach area? No, Or yes, that'd be great, whatever. And then it's about time frame, right? Do you have any plans to come visit the area anytime soon, this spring or summer? Or do you have any plans to start viewing homes, right? And then they can take them down that line. We ask them that way instead of saying, when are you going to buy a home? Right? When are you going to buy a home? Because that seems self-serving. When you say, when do you have a time frame for wanting to view homes? It takes the pressure off. Because now they're going to tell me. They're going to tell me, yeah. And if I ask them, same thing with the time frame to come to the area. They might tell me, but I don't know if they're going to view homes yet, so that's got to be my next question. When you come this time, are you going to want to view properties when you're here? Right? And then the next step is, well, if you find something that you like, do you want to be prepared? Right? And then you can go on, well, is this going to be a cash purchase or financing? Would you like us to introduce you to somebody? You know, so instead of asking, are you pre-qualified? See the difference? There's a big difference in how you ask those two questions. When are you going to view and are you pre-qualified? The more gently you do it, the walls come down. They know that you're there to help them and not take from them. Makes a big difference in people using you over someone else. There's a lot of agents out there that do it the other way. And it's going to be what sets you or your ISA apart. Okay? So that's it for safe searches. Accountability. I do want to talk about accountability a little bit. You have to have some accountability for your ISA. You got to do a little bit of micromanaging at the beginning. And it could be as simple as a time audit. Right? They've worked 8 hours. How many calls did they make in a day? How many contacts did they make in a day? Is that percentage within the normal parameters? How many calendared leads did they get? Right? So you need to be aware of what the norm is. You can Google that or ask somebody, but you need to be checking on that. They need to know that they're being checked on. Right? They're going to want to do it when they realize the compensation is what it is. Right? Is my time ending? Okay. So just keep that in mind. You have to do some accountability. You have to ensure the contact rates are within that reasonable percentage to know that they're actually making those phone calls. And you'll know because they should be keeping you busy. Day one of an ISA, you're going to have action items. Every day your ISA is calling for you, you will have action items. And because of that, they're going to fill up your calendar and they're going to fill up your car. So it works. It's a numbers game. You guys, if you have a good ISA, you're going to be busy. So and that's pretty much a guarantee. You just have to have the right ISA. And part of that is the accountability. Okay, all right. I love this. I do love sharing what we've learned about ISAs because it helps you build your business. It helps agents build their business. And that was the part that we loved. We had teams of 15 agents each at Mitchell's Brokerage. And we kind of became their counselor. They would come and see us when they were having difficulty, and we'd show them what they're not doing well and what they could be doing better. But when the sales started increasing, their life changed for the better, and it was really beautiful to see that. So it seems like an ISA job wouldn't necessarily have that result, but it does, and it shows that that it's a positive contribution not only to the team brokerage but to that individual agent. We talked about time frame and calendared. I do want to talk about tasks just for a quick second. Tasks are great, but don't overtask. Don't task all of your calendared leads. It becomes overwhelming, and then all the tasks are just that. They're just tasks. You should pull them by lists. It's more efficient because a task is manual. You have to manually set it. You have to manually pull it. You have to manually call it versus just pulling everybody whose time frame is next month or in 2 months, and boom, there's my call list. Do use your tasks when it's super important for sure, but don't overuse tasks because then they become less important. And that's just how ISAs operate. They become overwhelmed with tasks, so you want to use those lists. I talked about that. Okay, almost done. Just a couple notes on scripting. We touched on that a little bit about how do you ask time frame, how do you ask if they're pre-qualified. One of the things that we learned very quickly is the first sentence out of the ISA's mouth is going to determine, just first few seconds, really. The person on the other end of the phone is going to decide, am I going to talk to this person? Because they immediately have a wall up. So it's the ISA's job, or yours as an agent, if you're calling your own leads and scrubbing your own leads, you ought to get that wall down. So if it's a lead that you're nurturing, for example, it might be something as simple as, hey, this is Juli with the Melissa Goldman real estate team. I just wanted to check in to see if you're still happy with the listings of the Cocoa Beach oceanfront condos we've been sending you, or see if you want to make any changes. That's it. what they do immediately, first of all, I told them it's real quick. It's going to be a quick call. I mentioned Melissa. They're getting the listings from Melissa. So now and I mentioned what they're looking for, Cocoa Beach oceanfront condos, right? So they've associated me now with the listings that they're getting. They've decided they're going to talk to me, right? So it's got to be for whatever it is. If it's a property inquiry, same thing. You want to mention the reason for the call. What outreach did they do so that they can connect you? Property inquiries are great. You want to mention the property and what they want to know. They will talk to you immediately. The wall comes down. Great, you're here to answer my question, right? So it's really important to script the first question. Other than that, you do have maybe, anywhere between 6 and 10 questions you want the ISA to ask, but they need to be in a conversational way, and they need to be able to react to conversation. That's why hiring the right ISA is important. You don't want them just reading, 10 questions. It has to be in a conversational way, and a good ISA will be able to do that and will be able to pivot when, and listen, actually engage in a conversation. Again, that's where you're going to get the increase in conversion. Don't ever let them get off the phone without asking their time frame. Right? That's the most important thing. When you have them on the phone, don't let them go. You've got to get their time frame. And the way that you ask, it depends. Are they out of the area? Then it's a simple, and if they say, hey, the listings that I'm getting are great, please keep sending them. I'm at work, I got to go right now, because everybody's in a hurry, right? Great, we'll keep sending them. I just want to double check. Do you have any plans to come to the area anytime soon? Right? Just ask. Don't let them off the phone until you ask. They're going to answer the question because they want to keep getting the listings. Okay? So don't let them get away without asking their time frame, because then you know to follow up with them before their time frame. If not, they're mixed in with the hundreds of active leads. So it's really, really important that you calendar your leads, that your ISA calendars the leads for you. I have a couple more quick notes to spin or not to spin. A lot of people want to know if their ISA should spin through like a Mojo dialer, and the answer to that is it depends on the leads. Property inquiries, never. Ever. Those should always be an individual call. Calendar leads, never. They should always be an individual call and an individual message. Active leads that you're nurturing, heck yeah. I fought against a dialer, and they talked me into Mojo, and I ended up loving that dialer because there was no delay. I'm literally spinning through 3 calls at once. Whoever answers the phone, I'm talking to. The other ones, I'm leaving a recorded message for. I don't know if that's changed, and we can still do that, but as long as you can hear the beep, I think the law was, then you could do that. And you're actually letting the phone ring and get into that voicemail. We talk to so many more people that way, and you're leaving a detailed message very similar to the script. And if you don't talk to them, it's still a touch, right? Because 3 months later, when they do answer the phone, oh my God, I've been getting your messages. Thank you for keep sending the message. So it's a touch, right? They might not be ready 3 more months down the road. They're ready, so they're picking up the phone. So it counts as a touch. They know you're still thinking about them. You don't have to talk to every nurture lead every month. You just need to make that call and leave a message. And then a note on unsubscribes. Okay, with regard to the drips and the listing updates, if you're sending listings and you're sending newsletter, or I like the market update, or whatever else that's going to give them value, right? You're sending them things. You want to give them different options to unsubscribe. So if you're sending them those things, they might unsubscribe and still be looking to buy or sell. They could be a calendared lead of yours and they unsubscribe. You need to give them the option. Option 1 is unsubscribe from everything, right? Option 2 is unsubscribe from the extra emails, continue to get the listing updates. Heck yeah, that's what I want. Or unsubscribe from the listing updates and continue to get the market updates. Maybe that happens. Maybe they've changed their criteria. Maybe they're getting the wrong listings. If you've had a conversation with them before, it warrants a phone call. So many agents, when somebody unsubscribes, it's a dead lead. That's not always the case. We found that many, many times. They're just getting the wrong listings, or they postpone their time frame. So you want to make sure that if you're sending those things, you have different options for unsubscribe, or you're losing business. And these are people you've already spent time, effort, energy, money on. You've already connected with them, right? So you really want to get the most out of that. And then last point is the type of structure that you have can affect your lead conversion on these. So a team structure is going to get the highest lead conversion. I don't know if it's the camaraderie, it's the meetings, it's the personal relationship, it's me wanting to do the best for my team leader, to contribute. I don't know all of those reasons, but it seems like the team structure works really, really well when you have an ISA. If you're maybe a referral agent and you want to utilize an ISA to get up some referral business and you refer it out to agents, you can do that. It's just a little trickier. And what we learned, this was a very expensive, valuable lesson that we learned. If you have a blanket referral form, they convert at a lower level. If you give them individual referrals for each property or for each customer, the conversion goes way up. I can't explain it exactly why that is. You guys might have some thoughts on it. It might be because now it's real, right? I have this referral agreement in my hands. It's a real buyer, a real seller. But your conversion will increase. So if you're looking to do referrals on EXP, I'm not sure how many, if everybody here is with EXP, but oh my gosh, you're completely set up to do that. Like if you want to market for referrals, there's a huge referral network out there, right? So you could do that. You could utilize an ISA to drum up referral business, and you get the referrals. And even if it's 25%, you're getting 20, your ISA is getting 5. So it works really well with individual referral agreements. All right, those are my tips. I tried to stick to the things that were most important that I thought would help you guys the most. Do you guys have any questions? Yep. Okay, so so I am a licensed agent, but I had never worked as an agent. I never planned to, because I don't know if I told you, but I had a little toddler at the time. So I did it to become an ISA. But we have had agents that have wanted to be ISAs because they're done. They want to keep their license, but they don't really want to do it anymore. Cold calling, we didn't really talk about that, but like expireds. An ISA can do that. ISAs thrive with warm leads. Like that's where you're really going to do it. However, I have called expireds, but the biggest advice there is don't call them right away because everybody's calling them right away. You got to call them in like 3 months or something. You know, that's where you're going to get more conversions out of the expireds because if you're one of 10, 20 people calling them on day 1 or day 2, how are you going to set yourself apart? But if you're the only one calling them in 3 months, that's going to be what sets you apart. An agent could be really good at that. Also, circle dialing. So you've got a new listing, or it doesn't have to be yours. There's a closing. You grab the neighborhood around and say, hey, there's been a closing in your area, and then, you have to be more direct there. Are you looking to buy or sell anytime soon? You just have to come right out and ask them when you're doing cold calling like that. You do have to scrub them. You got to scrub them. So an agent can make a good ISA. We had one. Yeah. Yeah. So an agent that doesn't want to be an agent anymore, or they want to take a break, we had one really good example of that at Tropical. We had one agent who was an agent, became an ISA, became really good at it. So it depends on what their goals are. If they still want to be an agent, I wouldn't do that because they need to do that. Yeah. So if they still want to be out there buying and selling, if they just want to do referrals, 100%, try them out. Because they're licensed and they know the area and they've got that base knowledge for you. So, yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Uh-huh. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yep. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. Yep. Yes. Well, I do. Like I said, I love it. When you love what you do, you're good at it. So now I manage, and my ISAs love what they do, and I love seeing them succeed. And it's just kind of down the road. But again, we've got the idea man here. I've been able to implement and just make things work. But I've been with Mitch and Pat since 2006, and I've loved every minute of it. So. Yep. Thank you, guys.